being here, of course. And so we will jump right in. I told you guys when we kicked these off a month or two ago, the emphasis for these meetings, really for the foreseeable future, we'll talk about anything facilities that anybody would like to, but the open agenda item until referendum projects are done, which is for the foreseeable future, will be capital improvements and referendums. So with that, I will turn it over. I don't know if Dr. Robbins, you want to start us off and go from there.
Thank you, sir. So we have this broken up into two phases for you. We have the property, potential property realignment, course of action, recommendations, and then we'll follow that up with the variety of projects that we have taken place. The reason putting this in the front end because your decisions on this course of action analysis will have a ripple effect on what we do with other properties and will affect our construction projects as well. So I've already shared with you the situation, about our growth, about our facilities. That we own 3 houses, and I'm going to go through each property individually. 3 houses that are really residential houses that are not designed to be professional office space, that we feel like we could sell and we could centralize those programs in a true professional office setting. It would be better for our district, and we could utilize the money as seed money in the future if we need to purchase property because the developer's not provided us with property. Next slide, Emmy. So here are the locations. This is in board docs in the facilities committee location. So you can pull it up, print it. I can make you copies if you like. Here are the 6 properties we are talking about. The very first one is Gavans. And again, I'll go through each property. And again, Jeff and Tony can help me out here as well. Span Elementary School is number 2. Number 3 is 112 Joyce Lane, which is a house. Number 4 is 801 Magnolia Street or 801 McKissick Way. That also it's right across the street, but that's a residential house. Number 5 is 212 Joyce Lane, which is a house. And number 6 is the old Rawlings Middle School athletic fields. It's located on Gum Street. Okay. Next slide. So if you look at our property inventory, these are kind of generic valuations based off the Zestimate that we think those properties are worth. The first one, Gavans. Gavans could stand to be worth the most property because there's land with it. There is a facility with it that if somebody wanted to purchase it, they could put the work in to remodel it. And it's definitely worth that amount of money. It's on 4 acres plus another 6+ acres. That really where the sewage fingers are because it is on a septic and a well system out there. The third property, I might have overestimated. I put $650,000, but it really is probably a little bit lower than that. But that's a nice size residential house right behind McKissick Stadium. Across the street is another house around $400,000. The house down on the end where Child Find is about $350,000. And the Gum Street property could be anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000. It is a nice location because it's located right off of the Berlin G Parkway, so it's easy access to the parkway, and just a nice open field and nice space. Okay. All right. So as we look at the first, and we've been through this, so I don't want to bore you with it, but again, this is a facility. This is Gavans, where we were going to put our pilot child care location. It's where our technology center was located. And obviously, we had the floods in the fall. This is the second time that's flooded. We put over $1 million into it the first time. It really is probably close to that cost again. We had to cut out the first 3 feet of drywall across the whole building where it flooded. The doors all warped because of the flooding, so we had to take all the doors off. So it'll be a significant cost to try to renovate that, to only potentially have it flood again. The other thing that's a challenge with that location for us is because it's on a well and it's on a septic, we have certain code requirements that we have to abide by. We don't use the water enough for it to pass some of those monthly tests that are conducted. And so occasionally we have to shut the water down and use bottled water, again, because it's designed to be used a lot and we don't get a lot of flow through. The Zestimate on that property is around $259,000 to $500,000. So this is where I'll go slow. The first course of action recommendation that we have for you is to sell a property for fair market value. That would be the easiest thing to do. The second thing that we could potentially do is donate the property to the adjacent community church, which is Canaan United Methodist Church. I've met with them on a couple of different occasions. I actually know the minister there. He was my board chair in Kershaw County, but they face similar situations with the flood with their church as well. So again, what do we do? Do we invest money into a facility we really can't use that may potentially be flooded again? Or do we go ahead and say, all right, now's the time. Let's see if anybody's interested. So I'll pause there. Yeah, Tony, if you want to add to that.
So a couple general questions for each of these. So for each of these properties, have we, so we have seen the deeds to the properties. We actually have the deeds. Okay, so we have that. And then I don't know that I've been around since we've sold land, sold anything as a district. What does that process even look like? Does it have to go through any sort of state process or?
If there's two different things, and I'll let Kristen kind of answer that. If it's a school, it's a little different process. If it's just property, then it's a little more straightforward. If it's a school, if you donate it, it has to go to it. And I only say that because I've been through it in Kershaw County where we closed 3 rural elementary schools and we donated them to nonprofits, and we were able to do that on paper and it was permissible. To sell it is a little different as a school because of the new charter provides that we have. So
one of the relevant factors is when and how we acquired it. So if we acquired it after 1952 and used any amount of state funds, then you have to apply for approval from the State Board of Education to dispose of property in any way. This land, the Givans property, I'm given to understand we acquired it well before 1952, not using state funds. I think it was a grant from an individual. Is that correct?
It was a donation.
So, yeah, it was a donation from an individual. So the district can dispose of it without the approval process of the state. I think for the houses that we'll talk about in a minute, we may need to look back at those, unless you all know off the top of your head
I can
precisely when we
I
acquired.
can find out exactly when. I've got a spreadsheet and I can look it up while we're talking, but I feel like all of those were purchased with such small amounts and we use local money instead of state money to buy those. And a lot of them were donated.
Would it make sense? So specifically, I guess on Givans, can we get, I'm assuming you would use a commercial broker for that. Can we get a commercial broker to give us like
Yeah.
closer to real, but nothing against Zillow.
Well,
Yeah.
no, but also, I think that's a really broad, I mean, that's a wide range.
It
So we
is.
really need more specifics
Yeah.
before we can
Yeah.
make a decision. And I also think you're gonna have to take into account everything that's going on out there when you're looking to sell it too, right? You might not get what they're estimating
Right.
based
Oh,
on the
yeah,
fact that there are a
absolutely.
lot of issues.
So
So-
the question would be, even if we didn't get what the estimator or the appraisal is, do we hang on to? That's really the question for the board. Do you want to hang on to the property that we know we're probably not going to put anyone or anything in unless it's storage? And even if it's storage, we would want to make sure that it's elevated enough that if it floods, that it doesn't ruin anything we have. So that's really probably the bigger question on what do you?
Givans deeded to us in 1938.
Yeah. So, that's really probably more the prevailing question. We will never be able to put a school in there.
So you're warned.
We probably will never be able to put a school in there. It will not pass inspection for a childcare location. The best we can possibly do is have it as a, hub, like we did with technology, where it's adults in there, or just simply storage. And again, if it's storage, then we're gonna have to figure out how we keep stuff far enough off the floor and in the event it never flood again, we wouldn't have to go out there rapidly and with U-Haul trucks and empty it out. So,
So since the last flooding, we've done work out there already.
well, we had to take the doors off and we had to remove all the equipment that was out there and we had to cut, well, go ahead. You got
We
it.
haven't pulled the doors yet. They're most are still hanging in place, just the bottoms are really swollen up. The sheet rock's been cut and that's really basically what we've done so far. Just got all that out of there. So it's kind of in a state that you could go, it's ready to be rebuilt at this point.
I just want to know how much money had been invested.
If you want to look at cleanup costs that we paid like disaster care to come out and help with that, I can get you an exact number. It's around $25,000.
I mean, thinking outside the box, like the transportation hub, I mean, there's gonna be growth out that way. It's easy to move buses if we know something's coming, right? I say easy.
The problem with flooding is not water rolling through the door. Problem with flooding out there is it coming up through the septic system. You got a raised leach field out there. It's about 3 feet higher than the rest of the property. And when you get saturated ground, that water pressure pushes everything that's in the septic system up through the floor drains. So that's where most of your flooding is coming from. So let's keep that in, yeah. Just
Well, and the other thing too, is like, if you look at the leach field on the aerial, the well is about 15 to 20 feet from the leach field. So if you get a lot of rain, water goes downhill, it goes down to its.
we got to set the water on the 5 times because it's been
Yeah.
contaminated.
And again, I mean, maybe, and my vantage point would be if we look at this and knowing that growth continues to go towards that area, towards Knightsville, Jedburgh, I forget how many thousands of homes they just approved for that corridor. Thinking of it in that mindset, is there anything at all that we would be really kind of hamstringing ourselves if we end up disposing of it?
We have the 20 acres. It's about 3 miles up the road. No, give Ann's.
And then we've got 20 out
We
a
got
little bit further.
outside.
Now, you have like this facility storage stuff.
So that's the whole difference.
Yeah, the other side of Bridlewood is 20 acres.
Problem with giving us, if you look at on the map on the aerial, the leach field is literally basically in the middle of the property. So it's not like it's on the corner where you could kind of cut that off and not worry about it. So you'd have to remediate that. I don't even know what the cost would be of that. Basically excavate all that whole system and then
Yeah.
probably pack it with lye or something and then surcharge it for God knows how long you have to let it surcharge before you can actually even do it.
Yeah, I mean, to Mr. Farnsworth's point, if there is growth that way, would it be would it be possible or something we'd even want to consider trying to fix those issues and like utilizing it for a school or some sort of anything else out there?
This is more a question, not
First, trying to find brand new land, you know what I mean?
not a comment, but the 20 acres that we have, as that growth occurs, if we wanted to construct a transportation depot, that might be more cost effective to do that. Plus, that big subdivision that they're talking about right now, they have carved out, I met with the developer, 100 acres for us. So, and actually it is 80 acres on one side of the road and another 20 acres on the other side, which also is another opportunity, possibly if we wanted to do storage, transportation depot, that type of thing. So, it's really kind of what's the most value, what's the biggest bang for our buck in terms of trying to take a chance on this one or start fresh with a piece of property that may not have the topographical issues.
I see this as being a recurring problem. I mean, it happened in 15, and I think one of the first things I told Scott Robbins when he came here, he said, what do we do with that? I said, get rid of it quick. But
And again, and I'm inclined as well. There's no way, you're never gonna put a school out there. I don't think you're ever gonna put a facility out there. And knowing that we have the 20 acres, I think is,
Issues versus like the cost of fixing those issues versus
Yeah.
acquiring new land and all that, like what would, but
I mean, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, next steps, maybe we get somebody to give us a
Oh,
closer
absolutely. Yeah.
evaluation.
Yeah, we're not asking you to make a decision today. No.
See what kind of offers people would make. Then no good offers, you can always donate.
We could bring in a broker to take a look at it and give us an assessment. Yeah. Yeah, give us an appraisal.
We know more, I mean,
That's sitting out there. I just want you to know that's where we are. And that just, that at least gives us some guidance on what next steps would be. The next one is a little more, I'll be honest with you, this next one is going to create the ripple effect for the next three, because this, depending on what you decide, will make it easier for us to make some decisions on the next three. But that's Span Elementary School. And again, if you look in here, I provided you with a historic enrollment trend of Span. You know, it really mimics the historic enrollment trend of Somerville. It's pretty much declining just a little bit, flatline. Together, both of those buildings are just a little over 1,000 students. Right now, there's 580 students in there this year. I'm sorry, I didn't have the staff numbers when I made this slide. One of the things that we could consider is splitting that attendance zone up into 3 different areas, primarily really 2 areas. And that being Austin Bailey Elementary School, Somerville Elementary School, with just a portion going into Sires Elementary School. All 3 of those buildings, if you look at our demographic study, have pretty much flatlined or declining a little bit. Sires has a greater number of students already in there, so we wouldn't want to overwhelm them. I did go over, just so you all know, I met with the Span staff. I told them we were considering this. Obviously, it's not going to eliminate any jobs because we're still growing enrollment wise, but that might be, you just can't fix that building and bring it to modern day code. It's just really in disrepair, and really industry standards suggest that if you're going to spend more than 50% of the cost of a building to bring it to code, you tear it down. So what we really think we can do is repurpose it. If we split those students out and we can use the good portion of it and the media center to bring all of our special education department together, centralize it. Sodexo would be in there. And what else was there? Our child care center, our second child care center. Those would all be able to fit into that facility and we could move them out of the houses.
Wouldn't there be a cost associated with bringing into code to house those things? And are you saying,
It's already to code.
so you're saying maintain a portion of it? Okay.
Yeah.
But demolish the other
Demolish
portion?
the, yeah.
Okay. That's what I was trying to
Yeah.
understand.
And the media center's in great shape. We could still use the media center, and of course, it's got the outdoor theater.
when you were talking about like the elementary rise too, would that be like a different building or are you looking to incorporate that into our current elementary school?
And to start with, in our current elementary schools. Yeah.
I'm just saying
In
that
regional locations, good.
maybe like a small
It could.
little.
Good. Yeah. Questions? The request would be if you approve this first course of action, would not be until the fall of 26. So it gives us a whole year, year and a half to communicate with our community to, and again, I've already started meeting with the staff in the event it does happen. It's better that they hear what we are considering. I told them it was still just a consideration.
That would, rezoning would fall in line with the rezoning that needs to happen as a result of the new elementary school we're already building and that as well.
I'd rather do it.
I don't want to,
once.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to make sure.
And the wings, and that Oak Elementary and the Sand Hill wings will all come on.
Just want to make sure when we're rezoning and kind of, I just don't want to keep having to do it, so.
What time do you?
Yeah, this would be a one-time to go along with the ponds. Yeah. Knightsville. Yeah, yeah.
So I guess really for the committee and Dr. Robbins, how do you want us to move forward with that one? Do you-
Really, I just need to know which course of action you know, as a board, you all would support. And once you think that, if you want any additional information, we would present it to you in a public meeting for you to vote on it publicly.
So the course of action one is basically rezoning those people and repurposing the portion of the building that's still
Correct.
usable. The other one is just to continue to maintain that facility and try to renovate.
What do you, okay, so if we go with number two, what would your plan be for the departments you just talked about, like special ed?
Well, we do have a plan to move some of the special ed folks into the gymnasium behind us once we finish that renovation. So that would help a little bit there. Still allow us to get them out of the houses, a couple of the houses.
Is there that many that you would need to have?
Well,
You
it
would
won't take up
utilize
the
either
whole
or,
space.
right?
Say again.
Would you utilize either or, like the space that you were just talking about and this building potentially, or?
Justin was saying, if we went with course of action
That's
two, what would we do with?
So then if we're not, if we are going with course of action one, they're gonna be able to be in this building. What would we utilize that?
We still have additional folks that are,
And so I'm just trying to
Yeah,
understand, like,
yeah.
are they gonna need to be at both or?
no, if we could do this, they would all be able to go into that location. You know, we have child find, we have a lot of different services that are in those houses.
Technology, I mean, they're in that little building and they really need some space for all their equipment too, so that would facilitate moving into a little bigger space.
Moving them into van, you're saying?
No, I'm saying if they were out of the house, then they
Oh.
would find somewhere to put them to alleviate that better.
You know, I can see benefit of consolidation of some district resources into that facility. And then I guess worst case scenario, years from now, all of a sudden enrollment goes crazy there again. We would have to go through the rigmarole of getting an approved OSF to put students back into it, renovations.
Do they have to go through that to put students back in? I mean, it's still gonna have students in it. We create the childcare. I mean, it's still the same.
Just be a small.
You've got to work with the local, already having jurisdiction, the local fire marshal, let them come through and approve it for student rehab population. It wouldn't be a total thing, you have to go to the state, but we want to do that. But I mean, for enrollment to blow up around here, it would be kind of, I mean, you're right here in the heart of Old Town Somerville. I don't see, you know, unless everybody sells their homes and a lot of young families move into downtown right here, I don't see it. But also, it's all.
Well, and we're increasing the capacity of Somerville Elementary School with the renovation we're doing there. So we're taking down 8 classrooms and adding 24. So in essence,
So
16.
if we went with course of action number two, what about that, all that extra space at Somerville? What are we gonna do with that? I mean, because it's really not a large school.
Well, unless we zoned, you try to, when we do a rezoning, to try to push it into Somerville Elementary School.
We'd have to, really, we have to utilize that
Oh,
space.
yeah, absolutely.
Wouldn't the majority, so you're saying the majority would go to Somerville since we're adding that?
Well, I'm just saying, if we don't do that, though, we're gonna end up with a lot of extra space in Somerville. That's a small school too. So the question is, if we go with course of action two, what's the plan for those,
Yeah,
that
we
addition?
just rezone to try to push
Oh,
into
I
it.
see what you're saying.
We rezone instead of this direction, we rezone this direction. 17A that way.
There's some projection as far as the Salisbury residential area that's being built.
Talking about over there off of Highway 78 and,
78 in, Burlington.
yeah,
See what I'm saying?
I'm sure that's in the projections, but
I know they're building some
yeah, they're building
residential
some
areas
apartments
over
there,
there.
yeah.
Into some,
You're saying if you kept space.
just putting it out there, it's
Capacity at Austin
something to
Bailey.
think about, that's
We
all.
have capacity at Austin Bailey, Somerville Elementary, like I said, and then you're adding on the wings where we can, once we move to 26, we can adjust.
Still do that.
Do you have any budget planning numbers on any work that would be done, whether it's option 1 or 2?
Kind of would yield to them on option 1 would be more, destruction, and tearing down the bad portions. creating overflow parking space a little less. Option two, it's just gonna be, it's just a money pit. You know, there's some things, it's just gonna be every year, put money into it, so.
We're lipstick on the pig, it comes to mind.
You never.
Sorry. We did get it painted. We got some, lesser money to upgrade the HVAC systems over there, so yeah, it's great right now, but, to continually, keep students in it, it's gonna become a kind of maintenance heavy because of mostly because they changed the wetlands maps and the flood. So if you pull that flood map up on GIS, it comes up from Burley G, crosses the road and comes up into the first two buildings over on Span on that lot. So those lower buildings and all those where the portables are and everything, they're a pretty bad spot.
Yeah, my question is, attempt to renovate it as best as possible. Are you thinking, $50,000 for some renovations, $500,000 for some renovations? Because of things like that, and then on the other one, you're gonna repurpose it and whatnot, and I understand maybe the emphasis is demolition,
Yeah.
but there's
Still
more
gonna
than
be
just
a lot of-
demolition.
Yeah, absolutely. So the money that it would take when you repurpose would be a lot less than the money it's gonna take to maintain. So when you say $50,000, yeah, we could go over a course of time and we could do certain sections of that building in course of action one to improve the aesthetics of it. Course of action two, when we talk about to maintain it, you're talking $500,000 to $1 million a pop. And some of the things that we have to do, whether it's the roof, whether it's the floors in the back that are sinking to try to elevate them, to bring them up above ground so that, because right now, I was telling Kelly, there's some doors that we can't even open to the exterior because that building's settled so much. So you'd have to go in and, actually jack it up, try to get some stability if the land would have the compression index to be able to hold it up even after you did that. So.
We ran into quite a few problems with the HVAC and lighting project with the electrical. So I mean, that electrical is very dated.
It's maxed out.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the cost of selling these other properties, would that potentially go to cover the cost of like renovating? Is that how?
Yeah.
That would be that maybe
Yeah, we put that money into a fund that would support.
capital improvements.
Yeah.
Like, let's say we sell these and we, get 800,000 from the various properties or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
That's
And then the cost to renovate this is like 500,000, not the COA two, but like
Yeah.
to repurpose it. Thank you.
Okay, the next, just the properties, and again, you've seen these and they're in your slides, but these are residential properties, like right now, the first one is 112 Joyce Lane. It was empty when I got here and, we had to put technology in there when the flood happened at Gavans. And so they're all in that facility and then there's a little bit of storage. The next one is property 4, which is 801 John McKissick Way. That's where Sodexo is located. Again, it's another residential house. The third one is where Child Find is located. It's a special ed overflow site. And again, it's a small house. It's just really not conducive. I think I shared with you all the last time we talked about it. If you walk into that house and you turn to the left and you go backwards, Justin couldn't walk back there because the addition they put on is at an angle and he's too tall. So it's just really, it's just not a good location. So the plan for us is to really continue to try to renovate what spaces we have, regardless of what you choose to do with the houses, to get those people in a professional workspace. And then those houses just sit there unless you decide you want to sell them.
That property sits on how much land?
It is on. I don't know.
Very-
One.
0.48 acres. It's on.
That biggest one.
And then the final one, I will just tell you, this final property is one you may not want to do anything with. I just added it, included it, but it's the old ball fields. It is a good location because it's right off of, what's going to be Berlin G. That could be a transportation hub. In the future, it could be, we could put a storage facility on that. It'd be easy access from our other buildings to get to it. So it really is probably of all the property we have. We just don't use it for anything right now, but it's pretty valuable in my opinion.
So is that running parallel to the Berlin G where they have a bus depot or something?
It's a ride share.
Yeah.
Across
Okay,
the street,
yeah,
yeah.
right. Okay,
State
gotcha.
park and
Yeah.
stuff.
What's that, how much acreage is that?
It's only 2 acres. It's only 2 acres.
You wrote eight.
2.05 acres.
Because you really wouldn't get a lot of space. There's no way you could use that for more facility storage. On 2 acres.
It's pretty big when you go out there. If we built like a pre-engineered steel building.
I mean, instead of our current facility storage.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm talking about additional. I wasn't talking about relocating. Tony, don't you think we
It'd
could,
be a lot centrally located
Right.
if we. could.
don't you think we could put a sizable pre-engineered steel building on that space?
2 acres, yes.
Acres is.
Is that enough?
No.
Because facilities out at Jedburgh right now, how much, I mean, could you move that to here and be more centrally located?
That's, we've got a fleet of about
Of the
30
trucks?
vehicles.
HVAC.
That's also the central receiving warehouse for everything that comes into the district, comes to that warehouse. So we've got loading docks. It's a pretty busy spot out there.
Thank you.
And most of the trucks that come to the Jedburgh spot, you wouldn't want them downtown.
I feel like that's the most valuable piece of property we have that, I just added it, with the inventory. Again, we could sell it for fair market value or we could hold on to it, for multi-use opportunities. Really, I would flip those 2 COAs from COA 2, make that COA 1, but
I mean, I just even wonder if we could brainstorm some sort of like community thing that we could utilize
Yeah.
it for, you know what I mean? Whether it's like a park or something that would, I don't know. I just wonder if there's some way we could utilize it for.
actually had the town approach me and look at it, as a possibility for an overflow, police station.
But the town councilwoman had asked me something, I think
That's on
it
now.
was the other
Yeah,
one,
it's on
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Talk.
so-
Okay, so that's everything I have. And again, not asking you guys to make any decisions, just ask you to study this. And if you have questions, please, provide us any question you may have. And again, I just want to make sure that we just don't have property to be property owners, that we have property that if we can sell it and reinvest that money to make the spaces we have better, then that's what we do. One of the things I've found, that's why I'm not a big fan of purchasing learning cottages. And I'd rather lease them because when you're done with the learning cottage, we always can find a way, we all, you can always find a way to spread out into it and say, oh, well, I really kind of need that space. So I just, you can see that us make our best effort to try to economize as we can.
Mr. Farnsworth, do you see like, or Dr. Robbins, like, at what point are we going to start taking action on any of these courses of actions? I know some probably have a shorter time frame that we're looking at wanting to at least make a move on. Some of them, like span maybe, I'm not sure which one. So do you, as the facilities, are you gonna bring recommendations to the board or?
Well, that's kind of what I was driving for earlier with Dr. Robbins. The honest answer, probably need you to tell us like timeframes. There's probably a few more questions we need about valuations. Before we'd really be ready to take any action on any of them.
And you don't have to take them all. You can take 1, 2, 3. The one that's probably most time sensitive is span, so that if that is the decision we make, then we can communicate that with our families, with our employees, and we can start that We, just so y'all know, we've already started to look at what rezoning would look like. You know, where are the students in Austin Bailey, where are the students in Sires, Somerville Elementary, and how that would look and feel to reduce ride times, make it the most efficient. We're already kind of doing that to have an idea, just so you know, but that span would be the first one I would prefer you guys make a decision on. The other ones aren't as time sensitive because they don't have any zoning requirements with them.
I mean, to me, maybe would it make sense to everybody else if we set up at least a community meeting or two with the communities that would be impacted for a change in span?
Sure.
And just say, hey, here's potentially what we're thinking, and just start to get some conversation going with those communities. For anyone, I guess really for anybody that would be potentially rezoned out of span.
But now that you've had the conversation with the faculty staff over there, information will start to leak out. And I agree with you. We need to just go ahead and have those meetings with those affected.
Yeah, I just met with the staff last Wednesday.
Yeah, but you know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I didn't want to, I only spoke to the staff because I brought this up to you all already. And so I wasn't comfortable to do anything else. You know, we talked about it again, but we can definitely do that and schedule, you know, discussions. And again, I do feel, and I think Ashley and I talked about this, feel a lot more comfortable in the fact that this wouldn't, if we choose to do this, it wouldn't take effect until the fall of 26. So you're giving families and people plenty of time. Now that the concern for our staff is, all right, if a job opens at Austin Bailey or at one of the other things, should I go ahead and take that job? And I want to be careful not to, you know, hamstring us. That's why I told them you'll have a job and pretty much a job at any of the building elementaries you want to go to, because we always have vacancies. So.
For students, so the
Yeah.
students are moving, they're gonna need those allocations, so.
We are opening ponds, so.
Yeah.
Those are not, if we were to repurpose, not close, repurpose span, then, pond will open up.
So it sounds to me like span is maybe the one we want to maybe start taking some action on. Can we set up at least the one community meeting? At some point, you know, I don't know, March, April, it'll get tricky at the end of the year, but.
I also think we need to get a appraisal on the advanced property, so would that be something you can bring to get a better idea?
Same thing. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
bring it to facilities so we can get an actual accurate.
I think too, but I feel like we would need some type of idea of amount of money or a little more specifics on
Sure.
how much money we'd have to spend to get span to where
Right.
you want it to, you know, like as a second part
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
Are you saying to keep it like a school or to get it, to renovate it, to repurpose it, or both?
Well, probably both.
The cost it would be to demolish half and get that to be a multi-purpose use facility, and then cost to like renovate it.
The one piece we have
Yeah.
when we did the facility study. So we already have, you know,
Right.
that the piece that it would be to repurpose, what that renovation would look like. What's the cost to demolish the section that's, you know, not gonna be ever. Put that together. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, though, didn't you just say that the cost to continue utilizing the school was maybe going to be initial cost, but a continual cost? So I don't know, like, would you be able to get us that estimate? Because from what I get,
So,
what I've heard is like you said, like, yes, we're gonna have to renovate it part by part to get it up to.
yeah, we have
code,
to study. You probably weren't.
But then it's going to need continual work.
You were,
As is.
yeah, we have a facility study that tells you every, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. but-
So it says everything that we need to do.
Like, is there an end point for that school? Like, if we decide to keep it a school, is there an amount of stuff we're gonna do that's gonna bring it back to being working? And then that's the end, or is it gonna be like a continual?
Ever end with
Like,
any school?
I guess not. I mean, like,
It's not.
should I say end in like a reasonable end, like where it's not gonna be taking as much, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, everything's gonna have regular preventative maintenance, upkeep, like,
Yeah.
that's an understandable.
Yeah, that, I think the the constant spending of money was if we don't do anything major to overhaul.
Okay, so if we
Get
do
you-
something.
We can get you
major-
a rough cost on, to go through the facility study and get a complete overhaul of all the systems that need to be replaced.
So that we're back where we need to be, and it's just like
Yes.
Get there.
me.
Regular maintenance.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was trying to understand. Is it gonna always be a money pit, like,
We'll do 2 spreadsheets. I think what you're looking for. One will have all that. The other would have what it would cost to repurpose. But then the third piece to all that would be who's affected and how they're affected.
Well, because I think, but we need those numbers before we talk to the people who would be affected,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
part of the
Right.
reason why,
Yeah.
the why. And I
Yeah.
think we need to go to explain that fully.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Perfect. So to keep us on track, because we have a few more minutes, so we definitely want to get a referendum stuff. So, okay, you're going to get us information on both. No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Gavans as well as Span, further information. The other one's just selling property. We can figure out if we want to or not. So, beautiful. Going over to Tony, Jeff.
Let's see, is there anything else or do you have anything else? Okay, so I'll just do, so basically the way we're working it is that I'm kind of handling the smaller referendum stuff as well as the 8% in the TIF projects. I won't, go over the 8% or TIF tonight, for the sake of time. But some of the smaller referendum projects we have going, it's like Knightsville, we're doing a full abatement of all the asbestos and, full repaint and a full, placement of all the flooring throughout. We just issued the PO for the bulk of that work, so that'll all happen this summer. We're actually gonna be with the Seaver hopefully next week to pick out colors for flooring and paint job. So, Beach Hill, Austin Middle School, Flowertown and Newington, all 4 of those schools are getting a complete replacement of their ceiling grid and lighting. So those have all been POs cut to have that designed, because it's gonna have to go through OSF because it's changing. You have to do, seismic mounts for all the lighting fixtures and everything like that. The one big one that we're working on right now, getting scope on, is the Flowertown Newington abatement, because that's a tremendous amount of asbestos panels, wall panels. So, that will probably start this summer and probably kind of continue for possibly a couple of years to get through the whole building without making too much of a disruption. So we're gonna basically go pod by pod.
Which, okay, so this is the interiors. We did the hallways.
Always still, it's still panels. There's about 30,000 square feet of panels at Flowertown to be abated and about 50,000 at Newington.
What did we do a couple years ago?
We've done.
Was that because of the water fountain?
Parcel areas, we've done around water fountains, when we changed out the old smart boards to the Good Life boards, we had those walls, we had to abate and replace with FRP, but it's partial here and there, it's spotty throughout the school.
So, Austin Middle School, we have a project through the referendum to replace all the interior doors. So that's happening this summer. We're expecting, we've got the scope of work back, so we're gonna be putting it out for bids very shortly. Hopefully have that done this summer. The Bose Middle School, their courtyard's gonna get renovated. We've already got a design approved by the principal. So that's, just waiting on a quote for that, so we can get a PO issued for that. And, the last one we've got started right now is East Edison Middle. We're gonna add some additional parking. I think it's more to come, but we're starting to get some of these referendum projects going.
Pervious parking here.
Yeah.
We're not gonna put any asphalt, we're not adding any asphalt these days, so
I've got a question. At DeVoe's, was any consideration done to the gym bath?
The gym bathrooms are part of a 8% project. We have a project, I think in year 3,
Oh, okay.
that's gonna renovate their gym locker rooms and restrooms. Just like we did Austin Middle School and Wright Middle School last year, it'll have the same thing there.
Well, I visited, it, not pleasant.
Ma'am?
I said, when I visited it, not pleasant to go.
For the 6 P.M.
It might have been before us.
I think I think I was over there for one of the, what is that they have every school, every spring you do it.
The reality.
Reality town. So that was last year.
Next slide.
Okay, so let's talk about some referendum projects, some larger scale referendum projects. Sand Hill addition, we had a groundbreaking out there a couple weeks ago, so I just wanted to make sure everyone knew the approximate location of the project. I got them outlined in red of project location, and the next slide will be the first floor plan. And right here, we got 5 classrooms, gang bathrooms for the students and staff bath, workroom, everything on the first floor as well as the second floor. So it's pretty much identical floor by floor there. So that's, they're starting to put the, construction fence up tomorrow. And, so 220 days from tomorrow, we should, be moving students in there. So that's our hopes and dreams. So, and it will happen. That will be the fall, this coming fall. That'll be a next project would be Somerville Elementary Addition. This is the location where the old wing is behind Somerville Elementary. We're gonna remove that. It's, we found out why. We did a geotech study back there a couple weeks ago. And, it's, some pretty severely, it's just bad soil. It's a lot of clay, a lot of loam. They found buried layers of mulch, 8-10 feet down. I don't know what it was before they built that wing on there, but it wasn't conducive to construction. So, and it started showing up probably long before I got here, but, it's pretty bad now if you ever walk through that back wing. So we're gonna remove it in the first floor. This is, it gives two concepts on this. We don't really have the full design yet. Working on the concept. I kind of like this concept because it does leave that courtyard space between the existing wing, the cafeteria wing, and the new wing. It leaves it open to a kind of like a 4-yard space, but it would have a enclosed breezeway connector there from the back of the school, and it would leave the fire lane open on both ends of that. So I like concept one. Concept two, which is the next slide, kind of boxes it up a little bit, but they have it encloses the courtyard. And that creates a problem for the fire department. If they have to get inside that courtyard, they have to go through a breezeway to get to the courtyard there. And it would also be a maintenance issue for mowing grass in there too. So option one is the one we're kind of fleshing out right now, unless somebody jumps up and down and says they like this. It'll be 12 classrooms on the first floor, 12 classrooms on the second floor. So, and that's kind of where we are with Sand Hill. We're working on, we're right on schedule with the construction manager and our design team. And once we get the design fleshed out, I'll bring you back some design documents and we can look at those. The next project is Ashley Ridge High School additions. You see in the upper corner, that's where we're going to build a band room. It's going to be about 5,000 square foot band room. And we're going to take where the band room is now, down there where the blue lines are, that's the existing band room. We're going to add a space onto that, and that will become the weight room. It's going to add about 1,500 more square feet to what they already have for their weight room. So the band wins more space, the weight room wins more space, and we gain 2 additional classrooms where the weight room is now. And if you pop down on one slide, thank you. So you can see over there where the band room is up on the top left, and then the classrooms we gain where the weight room is now. And then you'll see down below there on that bottom wing where the weight room would be. And over on the far right side, you see a large room at the top. It's, let me get it. That's the culinary arts wing. So this classroom, and this classroom, when this wing was built, they were built for 2 classrooms, but they never put a divider in them. So we're going to go in there and divide those classrooms up and gain 2 more classrooms. So because if you go in there now, you'll see 15, 20 kids in there, and like they're only using half the classroom anyway. So it's wasted space. So let's put a wall there and gain some classrooms. The fire alarm devices are already there. All we need to do is get the divider wall put in, and that can happen this summer if we can get the design document to OSF fast. And the next one is the Somerville High
Before you
School.
go to Somerville, I got
Yes,
a
ma'am.
question about Ashley Ridge.
Yes, ma'am.
With the band room, will there be, a certain section available when their uniforms get wet, that's one of the things that, the band directors were talking to me about. I just technically, did you all speak to them?
Bring that,
So y'all got their input.
bring that one
Okay.
room over there, Lark and Lark's at.
He's gonna show.
Okay.
We actually sat down with the principal, and sat down with the band
And the
director.
band director.
She had her list of, wants.
Right.
And actually, the architect had hit all of her wants before and exceeded some.
Well, that, hey, that's all I wanted to know. So we're good if they have already had an input and they're happy.
Yeah, so here you have the larger expanse of the band room, which is about 1,000 square feet larger than what they've got now. So then you've got uniform storage, and right now their uniform, we walked in that room, their uniforms are crammed in
Right.
with flags,
Everything.
all their other stuff is in that same room that's like right over here now. It's just jammed in. So you got individual practice rooms that they requested, which is very good for, and this is one of the times where, and we listen to everybody that has input. I want the stakeholders, the end user to have the most say. And this is one of those times where she had the most say.
Good.
So we accommodated everything we could possibly accommodate.
Well, you made them happy, so
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Somerville High School gym. So this is the last piece of real estate at Somerville High School that we probably have used without building that
On the field.
Boone Hill Road.
Yeah.
So got this spot back here designated for a gym. This was an early concept, and we met Friday. This was kind of dressed up to a point where it was out of our reach. So we had to kind of,
You want to explain how it was out of our reach? Oh, it was financially way
so
out.
it was beyond our means.
Well, they said if you give us an opportunity, we're gonna give you all that we
They
want.
did.
but-
They did.
Well,
This wasn't the Somerville folks.
and we had to reel it in a little bit, so we got our design team, they're back on the drawing board now. And they're coming up, we're working with Thompson Turner, and they're gonna come up with a sensible building that we could get 3,500 spectators in and accommodate for restrooms and everything else. So we have to have in that building, we're gonna have in that building. So, yeah, that would be awesome if we had that kind of money. The new school, the ponds, so I've outlined kind of the rough project area we're talking about. It's about 22, 25 acres there. I think I've got outlined. I think our full project site's like 30 or whatever's in the development agreement, 30. So, and then we'll flip over one more. We'll see. It's, so if you've ever walked in Pye Elementary, Fort Dorchester Elementary, Cyrus Elementary, you walked in the front door of this school. So it's the same thing. And we're very close to a guaranteed maximum price on the pond, so just know that. And we're under budget, so it's all good. Sir?
Have we heard any movement on
Close.
anything?
So we, I talked with somebody from either Coulter or their civil engineers or somebody from the county almost on every 3 days. I make a phone call to somebody to see what the movement is. Right now, we talked to the folks at Coulter and they seem, Jeff seems hopeful that we can work out some type of agreement. Once they get their phase 8 and 10 preliminary site approval done, preliminary plan approval done. I know phase 10 is very close to being completed. Phase 8 is not far behind it. They recently, last week before last, they sent, the civil engineer sent their comments or the comment, they addressed the comments back to the county. So they can send the county's hands now. And as soon as the county gets that back to the Thompson Hunt, we should be getting that much closer to that preliminary plat approval. Hopefully we can go in there and hopefully we can forge some type of agreement with Coulter to continue our endeavors. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think the last one, so these projects are funded by TIF money, but they actually started today, started demolition today. And I know we want to have a groundbreaking out there. And so what I want to do is I want to wait till they get those mobiles or stick-built modulars removed so we can have a place to have a groundbreaking without disrupting school. Otherwise, we're going to have to do it on either active playground or over the bus yard. I don't think Steve Show would like that. So once they get those things out of the way, we'll be ready to go out there and dump load sand and get some picture taken and but they're moving on that today and that's the floor plan for the middle school is again, we focused on the fine arts because when we went out there to look at the school, when we talked to Miss Lewis, we walked in the gym building and she's got piano in the trailer over here, dance in here, steel drums back here, and it's just kind of scattered. So we worked on consolidating her fine arts into one building. So that's what you see there with, and we met with the entire fine arts department out there and talk with them about what they wanted. And we did our best to accommodate all of their needs in 10,000 square feet. It's tight for 10,000 square feet to accommodate all that. But I think we did a good job answering all their questions and meeting all their needs. At the elementary school, it's a lot simpler floor plan. Got like 10 classrooms there, and every classroom has a restroom. And the reason we did that is because if they want to use it for primary kids, kindergarten, first grade, there they go. So and that increases her primary, because right now I think she just in that kindergarten wing is the only wing that they have with primary students right now. So that's what Ms. Booten asked for. So that's what she's getting. And I think that's on that.
Beautiful. Yeah, so lots of good stuff. Thank you, guys. And it's a lot of work going on. And we'll close out this meeting, we'll go to our board meeting. At our board meeting, I will put out, I spoke with Mr. Farrell. We've got our facilities walkthroughs coming up. So I know for like Mr. Lee or anybody that hasn't been on those yet, please come out. Like I said, we'll populate the dates and look forward to doing those. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.